up to another good morning. Time to go. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure. We are
Welcome back to the 3x5 Life
podcast.
Mission here is purpose-driven productivity. Today, we are going to be chatting about mindset shift, all around overwhelm, stress. And this is from like not a something tragic happening in your life standpoint, but just life is full. So being completely transparent, at the beginning of the year, I was in overwhelm. Jessie definitely felt it. Family felt it. I was stressed out. And I shifted my mindset. I'm a big fan of Jason Drees and his coaching around mindset. And really what I reframed that mindset or the overwhelm as really abundance in my life. You know, I had all these good things coming at me, and the current version of me hadn't grown into the person that could handle that. And if you think about it, like the Bryan 10 years ago, my head would explode with all I have going on right now. And so if that's the case, you should be able to picture yourself 5-10 years from now as a person that is on this trajectory of growth, that would look back at your current self and be like, you got it, you can do this. And so when I really shifted my mindset of not overwhelm, but like abundance, you know, this is amazing. I have all these opportunities, and look at it from like more of a lens of joy than anything else. It really opened up my mind and my ability to deal with those stresses.
That definition, when you talk about overwhelmed, it's funny. I was listening or reading, or I don't know where I saw this, but it was the idea of the difference between overwhelm, underwhelm, and then they said, well, why don't we ever talk about what it means to feel whelmed? And I really love the idea of, okay, how can we get to that point where it's just enough, where our plates are full and we're balancing it in a way that feels really good, and we're not becoming overwhelmed, or it becomes so heavy that we can't kind of navigate throughout it. But what we do not want is that underwhelm. When you're underwhelmed, you're not excited about something. You're not challenging yourself. You're not growing, and you become complacent and bored. So how do we shift our mindset so that we can stay in that view of what whelmed would feel like?
And that's where we want to be, but you got to be playing that edge, in my opinion, towards the overwhelmed, because then you're growing, you know? I lean more that way than being complacent. Right,
because you're naturally, you challenge yourself regularly. Yeah. You like to suffer.
It's growth.
It is growth. It's funny because I teach a stress management course through Newman University. And one of the first things I show my students and talk to my students about is Kelly McGonigal, who is an author who wrote The Upside of Stress. She also has an amazing TED Talk if you haven't checked it out. But she talks about the definition of stress. And it's something that happens in your brain or your body when something that you care about is at stake. And so as soon as I heard that, I felt like it was such a game changer when I thought about what was truly stressing me out. And the things that I'm most stressed about are also the projects and the things that I'm most excited about. And she even talks about like physically what goes on in our bodies when we're really stressed, right? Like our heart rates increase, and we have like, deeper breathing, and we become super focused because we're in that fight or flight motion. And all of those emotions and feelings are actually connected to joy too, and excitement. So instead of being like, I'm stressed about this, just even changing your inner talk to say, I'm excited about this.
I get to do
this. Yeah. Yes. Like shifts the entire experience for you. If you're stressed about, being a teacher, which I always felt like I was overwhelmed, it's because I cared so much about my kids and I wanted to show up in a way that was doing right by them and doing right by myself. When I'm stressed about family things, it's because the same thing. I'm mad at myself because I can't show up in a way, but it's because I love them and I'm pouring into them. And so looking at stress as a way to navigate excitement and joy instead of being in that overwhelm, then I don't know, I think that whelmed state naturally kind of flows through you.
Yeah. And when you are overwhelmed or you are stressed, you're like, all right, these 7 things are stressing me. If I took away 2 or 3 of them, would I be happy that they were gone? whatever those things might be. Obviously, if it's an unhealthy stress, but if it is a growth edge, then you're like, all right, well, I get to do those things, like you were saying.
And the growth edge piece is important too, because the other thing that stress offers us is a time for reflection. If you're feeling overwhelm and stress, that could be a perfect indicator that something is no longer serving you. So I hit that point where I recognized that I was feeling, extra stress in a specific area. And because of that, it forced me to make a change in my career that better served me. And so looking at stress as a way to stop, pause, what's going on? What are these feelings? Why am I feeling this way? It's a really perfect way to either send yourself forward into that project that's stressing you out in a way that's a little bit different and unique, or to say, this isn't serving me anymore. I need to remove myself to this. But it's usually, if you think back to some of the most stressful times and experiences of your life, the lessons that are learned through those experiences are pure magic. It's something that you would never have acquired otherwise if you wouldn't have gone through that stressful situation.
That's a great point, because it is, are these things still serving me? Like, I'm on the board of the local community for whatever, does that still serve you like it did 5 years ago? Or is that just another obligation, something else that you said yes to that just doesn't really light you up anymore, but you feel bad in some way? But that yes is saying no to something that maybe is going to cause overwhelm, but it's a passion,
right?
So it's really, like you said, looking at those obligations on your calendar too. So what are some takeaways for today?
I mean, I think I love the idea of like looking for opportunities to feel whelmed, looking at what's stressing us out and maybe trying to find like, is this stress or is this excitement about something that I'm doing? Or is this stress and it truly is stress because it's not something that I'm excited about? And then trying to let go of the overwhelm to move ourselves more into the whelm. But remember to challenge ourselves. You cannot live a meaningful life. It's like life's contract, right? You can't live a meaningful life without stress. It just can't happen because what you care about creates stress. So the more you care about, the more it's going to be part of your everyday. So finding ways to just shift the way you're looking at it and moving yourself as much as possible into that whelmed, just enough pressure so that you're feeling growth and challenge and you're learning lessons from it, but not enough that you're feeling completely burnt out and want to just shut down and kind of like give up. So let's aim for whelmed this week.
Yeah, aim for whelmed. Or for me, the abundance. When I felt stressed, I just reframed it for me as like, this is abundance flowing in. And that really helped to kind of wash away some of the stress. It was still there. But that word and just looking at it slightly different helped me a ton. So hope you got something out of it this week. Have a fantastic week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning time.